We have a short time today to cover an awful lot. As always, get your questions in the chat as they come in. And this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. This is one of the tools that allowed me to become a restaurateur at a young age. I learned how to use this process and take over businesses that were bankrupt, keep a lot of the existing staff and retrain them and set them up according to a different standard and hospitality system and run that program. And it always works. Like, it's one of these things that's works with every client. How well it works will be up to you guys. And there's a few steps to it. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, kind of take you behind the scenes. Quick question though, put in the chat for me, those of you that currently have a mystery shopper program attached to your business, and why is that working? So do you currently utilize a mystery shopper program? If you can whack that in the chat for me, and Ali will let me know how many of you do. And you might even put a note on how well it's working, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 would be it's awesome, best training tool for your team, constant evolution. 1 is we pay somebody but have no idea what for, or we do it ourselves and it just doesn't get results. So guys, I want to start with some perspective. You know, I've been in this industry my whole life. It's scary for a lot of people that 8 of 10 bars and restaurants fail. 8 of them within 5 years are forced to close, 60% within 36 months of opening, right? It's brutal, but business is brutal in general. You know, you look at small business, by comparison, half of those fail within 5 years anyways, right? Only 20% in the first year, but business is tough in general. But here's what's interesting. When you look at franchise businesses, and I was a franchisor for about 20 years of my life with the company that I sold, Barmetrics, only 1.5 out of 10 franchises fail. So 15% by the end of the 5th year, and very little before that. So the question is, you know, how do we go from 15% to 80%? What's the difference, right? When I look at that, this James Clear quote always comes to mind, that people don't rise to the level of our expectations. They fall to the level of your systems. We'll just get you guys to mute your mics. So, you know, the truth is, I look behind the scenes at a lot of bars and restaurants. A lot of your systems suck, right? Or they're non-existent. And you're expecting people just to, you know, untrained staff to come in and be the face of your business and blow away customers 20, 30, 40 years their senior, right? It's just an impossible task. So we're going to look at one of the most important systems and understand that in the franchise world, they've detailed their system, then they have meticulous onboarding. Compliance is mandatory. It's not like, you know, do your best out there, kid. You know, let's see how you go. It's here's what you need to do when you need to do it, and you're going to go ahead and do it. And if you don't do it, they have systems in place to audit you. And when you're found not to be following the system, executing the steps, you have to retrain. And if you don't, you're ejected from the system, right? That's why they're at 15% and we're at 80. We're leaving things to chance and telling people to do their best. It doesn't work in business. So today I want to start with the end in mind, right? The end here, I'm going to assume that if you guys have a commercial kitchen and a commercial bar, that you're pretty good at food and drinks. Your venue is probably cool, comfortable, safe, all those things that we'd expect, but hospitality is your problem, right? Hospitality and the lack of systems around it is why 80% of businesses go bankrupt in our industry. It's very tough to bottle your brand of hospitality and then teach a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old how to do that in so many different conditions and circumstances, right? It's a very tall order, but I'm going to show you how to do it today. So first off, I want to clear out some of the misconceptions about mystery shopper programs. And I hear people say, we've tried it, it doesn't work, or they suck, or they've caused more problems. A mystery shopper program is not some amateur wannabe chef coming in rating your food. That's only going to piss off your kitchen team. And it's also not people coming in telling you that your toilets are dirty. Your manager on duty should be able to tell you that your toilets are dirty. And it's not their opinions about music and other arbitrary facts. Here's what a mystery shopper program should be. It's an unbiased, objective feedback on the specific steps of your hospitality machine, right? An unbiased, objective feedback on your hospitality machine. And the product is valuable information to coach your team. That's what it's for, nothing else. You can bolt on all you want to it, but I promise you, the more you attach and deviate from those 2 goals, the weaker and more contentious it becomes. So start very specified here. All right, I'm going to show you guys how to do this in 10 steps. Then we're going to take some questions. So number one, remember that you're aiming for remarkable hospitality, an experience worthy of remark 90 days after they've been with you. If you're aiming just not to get complaints and to be average, you're going to be a statistic. 80% of you will go bankrupt being average. Average sucks in our industry, right? Don't be average. Don't start out being average. Don't accept average. This is the best tool you're going to find for measuring the output of the experience of your guests. If you haven't read The Ultimate Question, Frank Reichelt is the author. You got to read it. I'll ruin the book for you right here. People that rate your business on a scale of 1 to 10 with the question, how likely are you to recommend your friends and family to our business based on your previous experience? They rate you 1 to 6. They actively tell people to keep away from your business. 6 out of 10 means you suck. 7 out of 10 was, we had a deal. You had food and drinks and a comfortable chair. I experienced that. You gave me a bill. We're done. Our deal's over. Now I'm going to try the next place. Only 9s and 10s are promoters. Everyone else is either useless or harmful to your business. Don't be 8 or below, right? That's what we're trying to build a system to do. So that's what we're trying to do, get 9s and 10s. So how do we do that? We take step 2. We ask our team to do more. Don't ask your bartenders just to make drinks and your hosts to just seat people and your servers to bring food to the table and make recommendations, right? If I was coaching one of your bartenders right now, I would say, I need you to do at least 3 things every single day, every single guest. Number 1, make every guest that walks in front of you smile. Make them happy. People get happy when you go above and beyond their expectation. Find out what they expect through body language or great questions and go above. Number 2, I need you to encourage an optimal spend, not the maximum spend. The spend that makes sense for them. The spend that when they look at their credit card receipt in the morning, they say, wow, that was great value for money. That's what we're looking for. And number 3, you've spent 90 minutes, 2 hours with them. Provide a reason to return. Find out what they like, what they're thinking about. Listen to what they're saying and doing, and invite them to a future event, right? Do at least those 3 things. Then we give them some detail on that, right? I'm going to show you how we map out this detail in a second. But don't just ask people to make your cocktails. Ask them to drive operations, create 9s and 10s. Ask them to optimize and encourage that optimal spend. And number 3, ask them to market your business. Why wouldn't you? That doesn't make sense to me to ask them to do anything less than that. This is the bare minimum. Step number 3, we're going to map out your brand of hospitality. Yours is different than mine, and yours will be different than your neighbors. Right? So you've got to map out your brand. So you're going to break into teams, have a captain for your host team, a captain for your bar team, a captain for your bar backs, a captain for all your teams. And you are going to document step by step the steps and variables when it comes to the experience at your business. So start really broad, right? Someone walks through the door, they interact with the host. If they have to wait, what would that experience look like? What's the bar experience like? The table, manager on duty interacting with your team. Is the chef involved? How does he or she get involved? What would they do? When would they do it? Right? Broad strokes. Go on the customer journey, right? Figure out what's happening, what it looks like. Then map it out. A square post-it note means it's a fact, right? Someone asks for this, you do this. If it's on its side, it means do this or that. And you just map out the experience. The best way to do this is with a dictaphone. I like a dictaphone, a store-bought $50, $20 dictaphone, better than an iPhone because I don't like people walking around with iPhones. So that as they're going through your host, they say, this happened, and that happened, and this happened. You transcribe all of that. You get a map on exactly what's happening, what the variables are. Easy. Then you go to step 4. Now you're going to get granular with this. You've got all the steps in front of you, and you've mapped them all out for the host stand. Then you're going to say, what's the bare minimum, right? What's the level 2 and what's the level 3 look like, right? And how do we do that? We're going to talk to your team. We're going to draw the information. We're drafting courseware here, a roadmap to customers rating you 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Do not leave it to chance. Why would you? You don't leave how to mop the floors to chance. Clean the beer lines. You've written that down. You got step by step. This is the most important thing. Don't leave it to chance. Step number 5. Test your work, right? So you've mapped it out. Cool. Here's the best way to test that work. Get the author to follow his or her own instructions. And they'll go, oh, I forgot this and I forgot that. And, I thought everyone knew that. No, not everybody knows it. So they fill in the gaps. Then you hand those instructions, could be on a clipboard, could be on a device, step by step, to an inexperienced staff member to follow. Ideally, someone who has context of the business, but who hasn't operated that specific position before. And then they're going to ask questions and say, oh, what about this? And how do you do that? And we're going to fill that in some more, right? So once you get a good flow on what that looks like, we move to step 6, and we're going to start to build some courseware, right? So let's go back to my original instruction. And by the way, if you guys don't know how younger people learn, there's a website, youtube.com, TikTok. Watch how people shoot videos, right? They're not half an hour long. They're not boring, fast paced, quick, short, sharp, easy, right? So we go back to these 3 things here. And I say, okay, guys, this is what I want you to do. And then I start building some courseware around that. You want to make people smile? Course 1, that's only 2.5 minutes. Engaging a guest, right? I'm 22. He's 52. What do I do? What are the 3 steps to do that? Number 2, how do you provide a mouth-watering recommendation? I mean, literally makes your mouth water. Storytelling. How to deliver a compliment without seeming creepy, right? That'd be nice. A lot of people are afraid to deliver compliments because where's the boundary? Tell them where the boundary is. Tell them what you'd expect in your business. Ask your staff, what have you said or done that makes our guests laugh? And they're going to tell you, you pick 5 things, you put those in there, right? You're building out courseware. Same with teaching people how to sell, right? Reinforcing choices, sales 101, cross-selling, upselling, all of these things. This should be number 3, but it's a reason to return. So, oops, that's why it's the wrong course. But reason to return is mapping them to a future event, paying attention to what they like. If there's someone who's interested in the wine list, or they seem like real foodies, what foodie event do we have coming up? Or when's the change of menu happen? Right? We're getting ready for a holiday and we do this party at this time. We're going to open the patio on this day. Say, hey, you're inside today. You wanted a seat by the window. You seem like an outdoor type. We've got our patio opening in 2 weeks. Love to invite you back for that. It's going to open up on a Wednesday night. It's always fun, right? So we put that in. That's the video we did for a client not far from where I am in Toronto. That's an avatar on the screen with a background. So an avatar is just computer generated. Whatever I type, she speaks. I can control her speech, the way she sounds. So as I update my courseware, the video is just updated. I'm not saying you have to do this. It just makes it easy to update, but you can use the original video or text, whatever you like, whatever's going to work for you. But this works really well. This is amazing. I wish I had this when I had my restaurants. Okay, step 6, I've got some courseware. Okay, now I want to map each of these courses to the steps of hospitality, right? If this, then that. I know that's a lot to look at, but at the host stand, I've got video A, 3A is engage the guest, find out if they've been with us before, what their level of experience is, and if there's any sort of special occasion. B is this step, C is this step. Now, the reason this is important is this is the same material, a cut down version that we're going to train our mystery shopper with. So they understand fully the expectations and what the staff have been trained on. Okay. The video collection process, as I said, I don't like phones in restaurants, but you use whatever you want to use. And, you just want to go through step by step and create your program, which builds into your mystery shopper template. So they know exactly what you're expecting to see at each of these steps of hospitality. Staff gets the training and manager on duty. So there's our touch points too. And I like to map things against this NPS score to say, listen, if we only did the basics, it's quite likely we're going to be rated a 0 to 6. If we take another step, we might be 7 or 8, but these are the specific things and actions that lead to us getting 9s and 10s, right? Let your team know. And we're going to build these into playbooks. So number 7, you want to train your mystery shopper in a cut down version. Like I said, they don't need to go through all of your courseware, but when I set up a mystery shopper program, I might have 3 levels or 3 pathways for a mystery shopper. One could be just the bar experience, right? They just come in, ask if they can get a seat at the bar, do their thing, so on and so forth. The other might be a meal at the bar. So they're going to get a drink, a meal, a chat with the staff and everything else. And then the third might be a drink at the bar while they wait for a friend, and then they move into the restaurant and have a full meal there. So whatever you're asking them to do, you want to provide them the steps of service to do that. Number 8, start small. Mystery shopper programs are, you put that term aside. This is the diagnostic of your hospitality system. And if you started with a diagnostic of a car with 100 things you looked at, it's too much. So you want to dial it back and get really intentional and really specific. So, for example, the 3 things that I asked, I could have my mystery shoppers say, did our people go out of our way to put a smile on your face? Scale of 1 to 10. Please tell us what they did. Then I group all of the 1 to 6s, the 7s and 8s, and the 9s and 10s. I'll say, do you see what we're doing or not doing in order to get these scores? And we're providing some great coaching opportunities to our team. And then post the results. I tell you, doing this alone, the Hawthorne effect, if you have a mystery shopper come in twice a week and you post the results, I promise you your venue will change. I've been the bartender working in a place that had a mystery shopper, and you assume that every difficult human being is the mystery shopper, right? Or every complex order has got to be the mystery shopper, and you kill them with kindness. You want to show up on these reports just right. Now, with ours, when we set these up for our clients, we map these to the experience. And when it shows up in yellow or in red, it maps it to a video so that your staff and your management team knows exactly what was expected and why that score was low, right? Nobody's left to wonder what needs to be done. And then step 9, and I'd suggest in 2 or 3 months of a small build on your reporting, that you can move into a more elaborate reporting scenario. And we've got some sample questions if you guys want them here, but I've got a video. I'll roll this. And this just kind of shows some of our more elaborate clients that have been running programs for a while. And we're looking at just more and more specificity in the business. But this has to align with what you're actually coaching your staff, right? What you're training them to do. There's no sense in measuring and looking to punish them for something that they're not even sure what's expected of them. So this is a gradual build. Like I said at the beginning of this call, every property that I ever took over had a mystery shopper program in place, and it absolutely changed our business, right? It just governed the business. Everyone knew what expectations were. And then finally, update your courseware, right? Your hospitality systems never finish. Like, you didn't do a menu for your kitchen and then go, okay, well, that's done. We're going to leave the same menu forever. You want to evolve your program. You want to be engaged in continuous coaching. And for you owners that are listening, not just for your staff, but for your managers, right? And I prefer the term leader on duty. You've got leaders leading your team, and they need coaching, right? They need tools to do this. And then finally, I really encourage an 80-20 scenario that, people use mystery shopper programs just to beat up on their staff. There are so many opportunities to reward people, and what you reward and what you focus on, you get more of. So I highly encourage you to use this as a way to reward your team and really celebrate the amazing people that you have that are doing great things during very difficult circumstances. And if you do all of these things, congratulations, because more than 99% of venues do not have an effective mystery shopper program. And if you put this in place, you will have one, and it'll change your business. I promise you that. All right, questions. We've got 6 or 8 minutes for some questions.
So there were a few questions in the chat regarding Synthesia, which is the program that we use for the avatars and creating the videos for your learning system.
Yep.
Actually, a question just popped up. Can you repeat the name of the book that you were talking about, The Ultimate Question?
Oh yeah. The book is called The Ultimate Question, and I believe his name is Frank Reichhold. If you type in Ultimate Question NPS, which stands for Net Promoter Score, it'll come right up. Every single restaurant and bar owner should have not just a copy, but a copy for all their staff. If you understand, why people decide or decide not to come back to your property, you've got a chance. If you don't understand it and realize that they are voting with their feet and they're making decisions on a subconscious level, like, did you make them feel important and special? And if you get that, then you can build a system to achieve it. If you don't understand it, you don't have a chance.
Okay, I've gotten a couple of questions. Here's one. How often do you find that bars and restaurants need to evolve their questions in the beginning? How do you know if you're asking the right questions?
So that's a good question. So you got to think about all the data that you have available to you and realize that you can't fix everything at once, right? There's a lot of things that are going on in your business today that are just grinding people, but they're not straight out, setting fire. So you got to look at the feedback that's coming in online. If you notice a pattern, right? You notice that, people are disappointed with, being told one thing at the host stand and it's twice as long, or that your bar has this problem or whatever it might be. So I look to evolve a business around a section first, and then, tweak it from there. Just look at, getting it to a place where it's functional, and then saying, we can't stop there. We've got to go to the next level. So you want to build the next piece on top of that to take the next step. And as I say, if you start with a focused area and you have a captain for each position in your business, you could operate 5 different teams at one time, but you've got to have buy-in from your staff and ideally some sort of reward for them to help you out.
All right. Chris is asking, if you are collecting NPS data from a large subset of guests and from your mystery shoppers, do you weigh them equally, or do you weigh the mystery shoppers more?
So I don't have my mystery shopper. I take that back. We do ask them, the final question is that, but because they know, they're educated, right? Typically our mystery shoppers, we don't use a company. I've tried the companies. I typically use people that I know, friends, neighbors, customers, and I train them on this and how to do it. And once they know the mystery shopper, once you take the subconscious out of it and they're consciously scoring you, it's not a true rating. So it doesn't really matter that much to me. It does very much matter how my customers rate us on a subconscious level. My mystery shoppers are there to tell me yes or no, are my team doing what I've asked them to do? And if yes, tell me why you think that. What did they actually do? And if no, did it just not happen at all, or they didn't do it to your satisfaction? I want them to tell me mechanically what's happening inside my business so that I can build a machine and a predictable result.
All right. How often do you recommend bringing in a mystery shopper? And I'm going to add a second part to that. How much should you budget per visit?
So I would suggest that once a week would be the absolute minimum, right? Like, the only reason why you wouldn't do it on a regular basis is that it's too expensive. And I'll address that on the second question. But all of my properties, we did between 2 and 3 times a week, depending on the scheduling. And the reason for that is I wanted my staff to know that, just like I count the cash at the end of every shift, I'm counting my hospitality system. I want to make sure that you're doing, like, I built this business to deliver hospitality, and it's my right and my responsibility to measure it on a regular basis. So how much does it cost? You can check in your city what a mystery shopper service costs. I don't know, but I stopped using them long ago because it's better for me to build it myself because I can get exactly what I need out of it. And we do it just for the trade in the retail experience. So depending on the depth of the shop. So if it was a bar tab alone, we typically set that at $100. So if you went to one of my bars and you scan at the end, we have an app, we build these for clients. So they'd scan their thing, it upload, and they get reimbursed $100. So they're up to $100. So if their invoice was only, or the receipt was only $82, they get $82 back. But typically, mystery shoppers bring a friend or two or three, and they spend a lot of money. The program actually makes us money and gives us tons of data. The most elaborate shop that we have is $250, and it's a multi-experience. So they're going to have a drink at the bar, move to the table. Reporting I build and the app that we build, it's a 10-2 report. So it should not take longer than 10 minutes to fill in, and it shouldn't take longer than 2 minutes to read. And a lot of people fill it in with voice, looking like they're on the phone while they're there, or typing like most people do, ignoring their guest, and they're typing a report. Ideally, for me, I say enjoy your experience. When you get out to the car, get home, but we want our reporting within 24 hours. And ideally, it comes in right afterwards, because that's when it's fresh.
So we are at 3:30. We have a couple of more questions. So we'll keep answering the questions. For those that need to jump off, you can jump off. We are going to send the recording of this out to everyone that's been on this call. But for those that want to stick around, stick around. We'll keep answering questions as they come in. So the next question is, who should be the mystery shopper? How do they choose that?
Yeah, so, mystery shoppers, like I said earlier, I use people that I know to get them started, that I know, like, respect. They're going to go in and follow this process. At all of my venues, I had 8 properties, and we created like an insiders club that we built. Our goal was to have 500 raving fans. So if you were in our insiders club, you got all kinds of benefit for doing that. One of them was you could become one of our mystery shoppers, and we would advertise to say, hey, you could, get between $100 and $250 experience. You could do that, usually it was twice a month, because if they came any more than that, people would know who they were. And people loved it. I built one for a restaurant company in Maryland, and last time I checked, they had over 100 customers on the waiting list to get into their program. Right? Because we didn't call them mystery shoppers. They called them business advisors. They were advisors to their business. So think, if you work in a cubicle and someone says, hey, what are you doing tonight? And say, oh, I'm going in. I got to have a look at this restaurant that I'm an advisor for. And I go in and I've been trained on their system, and I do this and that. Would you like to come with me? I'm going to take you as a guest. You're kind of a big deal all of a sudden. And you get invited to the biannual kind of insiders club, and they get trained on this. They can join other programs. They can get involved in our philanthropic side of the business. So remember, I'm always trying to build communities, and this is just another way to do it. And I have been a mystery shopper for other businesses just because I'm interested in it, and I want to go and look, and suddenly your dinner's paid for and away you go. Not a bad deal.
All right, it looks like that is it in the questions. If anybody else has another question, just throw it in.
All right, while we're waiting for a second, guys, as I say, if this sounds like a lot of work, it is a bit of work. The main job, though, what I didn't mention earlier, was the main body of work is your business's induction program, right? If all those steps and everything look like a lot, you're asking a lot of your staff on the floor. Like, those things are happening anyways. You're just trusting a 22-year-old with no business experience to make those decisions for you. So I think it's like reckless. I just wouldn't own a bar or restaurant unless I made those decisions. And our deal was with our staff is we want to upgrade this. We want to become stronger and better and faster, but don't deviate from this until we upgrade the system. Right? If you find a better way and we accept it and adopt it, we're going to be quick to invest in it and get everyone doing it. But best practice is best practice, right? And you look at all the variables, and I'm telling you, you do this, it's an absolute game changer. And then the only way you'll know if it's working is if you measure it. And this Mystery Shopper program is exactly how you do that.
So here's a good one. Does the management team know they are coming?
No. And the reason for that is that, we're all in this together, right? The owner, there's only one person typically that manages the schedule for it. So we built an app for this that sends out, and they can, apply to do certain shifts on certain days and whatever else. And again, I should have mentioned earlier, you want to be very specific in what you want the shopper to measure and when you want them to measure it. There's a big difference between going in your business on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night, or Friday for lunch or Friday at midnight, right? Like you need to know what you're measuring and what the expectations are. But no, I'm as much measuring my leadership team as I am my staff, right? We're all in this together, and the staff have a role to play. And you would have noticed on that, there's a whole roadmap for what the leader's supposed to be doing, right? And in my opinion, the leaders don't get nearly involved enough. And if your chef, that person could come in the kitchen. I don't care if you're running a pub, a fish and chip pub. Like I tell you, I've been in the industry my whole life. I still like meeting the man or woman in the apron in the kitchen, right? Like we underestimate the restaurant and bar experience, and we should stop doing that. We should start to see it through the lens of our guest and deliver on that, right? Make it fun, interesting, engaging. And so no, why should anyone know when they're coming? It doesn't matter. My mandate is operate this playbook every shift with every guest. So you don't need to know when they're coming. Just do your job and we'll all get along. That everything, Ellie?
That's everything.
All right, I got to get my umbrella out and enjoy the Canadian summer here. I got some rubber boots but we'll actually, I had up on the screen, where do I have to share? Here we go. Our next call is on staff development. That's going to be July 31st. I'm going to show you guys how the program that I built in Sydney for my own businesses and subsequent programs for clients that have A players, like the best staff in town, leave their bar and come to your bar to work for you because of your development program, right? Most development programs are a hurdle for staff to get over, pain in the ass that they have to suffer through. I'm going to show you how to build one that'll mean something, it'll be worth something, and it becomes another arrow in your quiver. Coaching, if anyone's looking for coaching, we are currently taking members on. We do this twice a year, and that process is pretty simple. We do a quick intake or evaluation. If I can help add value to your business in excess of what you'd pay, then we take on. If not, we just try to point you in the right direction and get you going. That's our information. So guys, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you all very soon.